Hello again, this is Preheat. Welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. Today we have a first look at the new raid coming in patch 10.2, Amirdrassil, and we got to see the first two bosses on Heroic. So the first boss we're going to look at is Gnarlroot, which is a very angry tree that spawns a bunch of ads, and then we also have Igira the Cruel. Apologies in advance if I mispronounce anything here, but she's basically Rashok's wife and has a very similar kind of setup there, but there's a bit of a twist in the fight where you get to choose your own adventure with the mechanics. So yeah, I'm going to review my VOD here and we're going to talk about the fights and I'm going to give you everything you need to know, at least about Heroic so far. So this is the talent setup I had for the first boss. This is a pretty awesome first boss. I mean, so for any first boss, you should expect it to be pretty easy and straightforward. These are bosses that, you know, players are seeing. They may not have a lot of experience raiding. Blizzard will try to make the first bosses kind of appeal to a broader audience and just be generally easier. And I think this boss is, it has the most important component of being a good first boss, which is that it was fun. Yeah, and the fight's not too complicated. It's just a two-phaser, or just, you know, one phase with intermission. But anyways, basically how this boss works is the whole fight is about ads. Okay, and that's why if you notice in my talents, I did go for volatility there. There is an ad intermission that happens during this boss, and the amount of ads you get during the intermission depends on how you play the rest of the fight. If you're wondering why I'm playing Devastation, it's because there's already a bunch of Augmentation Evokers. Also, I don't want to play Augmentation Raid. And I don't think you necessarily need to have like 5 Augmentation Evokers. I think you definitely want to have at least 2 of them. But I think there's still value in having a Devastation Evoker in the raid. So, yeah. Anyways, so boss is pulled. We're going to take the boss against the wall. And the reason for that is because we want to put all the ads as close to the wall as possible. So you'll notice here the boss is doing like pulsing damage. I go in for the range here. The boss is going to spawn after this frontal here. The boss is going to spawn some ads. You'll see it like fire lines. Here they are. So these are all ads they're spawning. All these circles. Every single one of these is a mob. And these are lashers. You'll see their nameplates like flash for a second. Boss is doing another frontal there. So yeah, these are dormant. They actually aren't going to come out until it is time for us to activate them either through the intermission or by using these circles here. So this is control burn. Basically, people get these circles, they need to move out. These are going to drop areas. If you drop them on these plants, it's going to wake them up. And that's going to make it so that now you can attack these ads. Now, you might be wondering, like, why would you want to wake these ads up? Well, if you don't wake them up, they're all going to wake up during the intermission. And I could definitely see it being the case where you're, like, overwhelmed by these ads. But in this testing, I think they were a little undertuned. They didn't really do much. They're supposed to like apply a stacking bleed on the raid, but to me it felt like the bleed wasn't really doing proper damage. You'll notice it like these debuffs are like flashing on everyone's nameplates. But yeah, I think the idea is you probably want to get a bunch of these ads up like early if you can, and then you're gonna want to you know, have the intermission be a little bit easier, a little less hectic, with less ads. But we'll have to see. Anyways, so yeah, they're throwing out their bleeds. Boss is about to push here, so it seems to be like a timer based thing. The boss basically goes to the middle of the room. Now this is another reason why it's nice to have him on the wall. The boss has to walk further, so that means you can milk the boss more. But now the intermission is going to start. So Gnarlroot is going to spread those roots with the potent fertilization here, and all of the ads become active, right? This is what I was talking about before. So I'm thinking that Blizzard probably wants this to wipe you. Like, you probably shouldn't be able to spawn all the ads at once. But the way we were doing it, it felt like it was kind of better to spawn them all at once. So that's probably going to change. But anyways, I like the strat though, where you just like spawn as many as you can during the intermission, because right here, you can just like AoE them all down. You know, just throw out like a max rank fire breath, do a deep breath over these things. I guess this is a good point to mention. Like, there was actually quite a bit of lag during this testing. And empowers were having like a lot of issues. But yeah, so I use my cooldowns here. The whole part, or this whole phase right here, right? Like, there's nothing really going on. The boss's health is not going to really go down because you know, he's got like a 99% damage reduction. The whole point is that you want to soak these circles and then you want to run around and burn these roots. And the way that you phase this boss is just by burning all the pieces of the root. And you'll notice that you get like 5 of this debuff. Whenever you soak the circle, that means you can burn like 5 different parts of it. I'm trying to jump over this joint right here to see if I can. I know you can jump over like right here where the boss is. I was just trying to test if there were other areas you could do it. But I think if you were like pretty well coordinated, you could probably do this whole phase in like 20 seconds. And most of that waiting would just be like waiting for the actual circles to hit, because it does take a while for the flame to actually touch down. But anyways, after you burn the roots, the boss takes 100% more damage. So as you can probably tell, if we just rewind a little bit here, I made a huge misplay here, right? Because I used my Dragon Rage right here, thinking that either there would be more ads, or maybe I could hit the boss, or maybe the boss would phase. Yeah, I was just like testing out different timings with it. Don't do that. Definitely hold your cooldown here. But anyways, yeah, so we activate the boss. We have a damage increase. We're blasting him during this damage increase. He's taking double damage. And as soon as this ends, we are going to be back in phase 1. And then the whole process repeats itself again. So, I mean, like I was saying, super simple boss. Not all that much going on here, right? But it's a fun boss. And it's fun because you get to decide when the AoE is happening. And you have like this huge damage amp where you get to absolutely beat the crap out of this boss. And to me, I'm not expecting a first boss to be difficult. I'm expecting it to be, decently interesting, and I'm expecting it to be fun. And I think this boss definitely checks both of those boxes. It's still deadly. Like, you could very easily die on this fight. In fact, because of the lag, we were dying a lot. Yeah, I mean, that mostly it was just standing in the frontal or like lagging out in the frontal. It was causing those deaths. So you can't stand circles, you can't stand frontals. You got to be a little bit mindful of the mechanics. But overall, I think this was a pretty good fight. I'm going to let this one play out since we did end up killing the boss. But yeah, as you can see, just like a ton of ads, right? Like, and one thing we found out too is if you go in the corner of the room here, like let's say that we had dropped the circles on top of the boss pretty much, and then like left a little spot for melee. What's cool about this is if the boss spawns more ads while these fire zones are out, it'll just chain spawn them. So you could probably go into the intermission with 0 ads if you wanted to. I don't know why you would do that, because it's not like you have anything else to do during the intermission, so you might as well kill ads. But yeah, I guess that's a viable strategy, maybe for like Mythic or something, if you needed to. As you can see, we were trying to preserve as many ads as possible, so we're like putting those further out than we need to. But yeah, anyways, the boss is at 10% health here, so it's going to be phasing, or it should be phasing like right now, actually. We're all pinging the priest, as you do. All right, there goes the boss, and all of the AoE is about to start in 3, 2, 1, and ads are active. Boom. All right, and this is, yeah, perfect time to get aggro as Devastation. This is like, wait, how much did that pyre do? 1, 2, 3, 4, so 1.2 million on the Dragon Rage. Yeah. Pretty impressed that they're keeping aggro here. You can see that lag with that deep breath right there, right? Yeah, and the only reason why I am deep breathing in this situation is just there's like so much AoE happening, but look, I'm just completely lagged out, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, you kill the boss, you kill the ads, you soak the circles, you burn the roots, run around, keep all these little pieces burning. They're all separate pieces, so you like have to burn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Like the joints and like the fingers on these things, on the tips, they're all different pieces, so each one's a little buff there. But it goes really fast. Like if you're coordinated, you can get this done super quick. As you can see there, I got 2 of them there, and then I get the less, or I ran out of the debuff, I think. But yeah, it's pretty simple and quick to get this thing burned. Definitely could split into like 4 different groups and get it done really, really efficiently, I think, if you're trying to do it that way. But yeah, overall, great boss. Like this one. A little laggy. Testing could have been a lot more smooth for sure. But it was a good boss. Liked it. Had a good time. Anyways, so we're going to move on to the second testing here. Okay, so this next boss we're talking about is Igira. And we were talking about this boss. Basically, this is Rashok's wife. And pretty cool boss. This one could be the second boss. It was in the room that was directly after Gnarlroot, so right next door. Interesting thing about this boss. So there are 3 corpses here. You'll see the Charred Ancient, the Charred Guardian, and the Charred Dryad. Each one of these has a different weapon that's been placed in them. And these weapons correspond with different mechanics. And basically it's a choose your own adventure. Let the boss have one of these weapons. It replaces one of its abilities. And now you have a new ability in the fight. So we're going to be using this middle one first. This is going to make it so that the boss kind of just like does a jump around mechanic. Doesn't really seem to do much. You just kind of dodge whenever the boss jumps. This one on the right makes it so you have like a healing absorb that you got to get rid of, and then you explode whenever you get healed, but you can just stack it. I'm assuming they're going to fix that. And then this one made it so that we have, oh, this one's actually kind of nasty. So you have like a circle you have to soak, but it gives you a stun that lasts like 8 seconds. But if you don't soak it, you get a bleed that stacks. So you'd want to like dispel the stuns and kind of rotate who does this. But I think you can probably solo soak it too. It goes on the tank. So yeah, if you're good with taunting, the tank can probably solo that. But anyways, this boss does like the sledge fisting where it hits 2 people. Or, I mean, you could call it the patchwork thing too, depending on how long you've been playing World of Warcraft. But yeah, boss also does a frontal. Strategy here is pretty simple. Just, you know, stay close to the boss. It's easier to dodge when you're close. Whenever these spears go out, the people who have the spears, I did get clipped there, but we're all just trying to stack up as close as possible here. These you have to kill as quickly as possible. Having them all be like grouped up though, they usually die off like pretty much instantly. I mean, they don't have much health, right? Like you can see it like just from passive cleave, like that living flame did a bunch of damage on those. They only have like 1 million health. So I think as Devastation, you might actually be able to like one-shot them all if you like do like a nice little tip to scales on it. Especially if you're in like a good position, like right here. You just fire breath in that direction. But yeah, anyways. So everyone gets knocked back and the boss lets you choose which one you're going to torment yourself with here. And I'm not assigned to soak, so I'm just going to do my own thing. These little swirlies that spawn, this is just periodic. It just goes on players. It's similar to like Freehold last boss where you can actually let a couple of them build up before you move. But obviously you don't want to get hit. They do hit pretty hard and they knock you back too. So we activate the weapon and the boss is now gaining that new skill here. And we're going to go back to being stacked up. And we found out that it seems like the boss prefers further targets. So like if we all stack up and then we have certain people go out, it seems like it was easier for us to control who gets the jump on them. But yeah, so once again, don't stand on the tanks because the tanks are getting cleaved, right? We're all stacked back here. This person, since they're out, they're getting the jump on them. So they are going to let the boss slam right there. Boom, and we dodge the waves, just like so. And the boss jumps back to the tank, just like so. I think there's probably a way to manipulate this a little bit more, but having it jump very short like this is nice because it means that melee can keep their uptime on it. Plus range, you know, we're able to hit it the whole time. And dodging those little lines that come out is not difficult. There's a huge grace period on it. So yeah, I mean, this weapon is basically like not even really a threat at all, right? I mean, if you think about it, it's almost like free damage phase here because you can just damage the boss and the boss is just jumping around and it's all completely avoidable. So yeah, I think this is definitely the easiest one to deal with, at least with the heroic mechanics that we've tested so far. And yeah, I mean, straightforward fight, right? Boss has the tank mechanic, throws out some swords, you choose your torment, deal with it. Boss is going to be picking up a second torment here shortly. You'll notice I'm playing the new tier bonus for Devastation, and I actually have a week where I made it tracks when I'm going to get Essence Burst here. Okay, so we have another set of spears. By the way, these spears, whenever people are stuck in place, they're actually giving the boss energy, and energy corresponds to like a 10% damage increase that it gets. You know, so whenever the spears come out, I always try to have like a nice leaping flames ready for that. Now you could definitely target one of these and do like an empower on it. I noticed that for some reason it just like wasn't showing up in any damage logs or anything. And they were also dying really quick, so I don't bother with that. But yeah, I think in like a real scenario, you'd definitely swap to those and try and blast them really quick, but they just die so fast. This fight's definitely undertuned. I mean, it is a second boss, but still. So the boss is going to make us choose our torment, and we are choosing the healing absorb. So as you see here, we soak it up pretty much instantly. If you get enough people in there, you can soak it up super fast. Then you just got to wait on the boss to actually finish their little phase here. So just running around, dodging the fire pools, trying not to run ahead if we can, you know, avoid it. It's better to stay stacked if you can. And the boss is now empowered. And you'll see us all really tightly stacking here, like right under the boss. And the reason why we want to tightly stack is that we don't want to hit each other whenever we're using those absorbs. I think if you're actually a little bit closer to the boss, you can dodge those like the frontal just by standing on the boss. But yeah, okay, so here we have the healing absorb. You'll notice it here. And everyone has these little hearts that are coming up. And as people get healed up, they're going to drop these little circles. But since we're all stacked, we aren't hitting each other. Definitely seems like something they would fix. But even when you do this the proper way, like you actually spread out and do it, it's not really that bad. It's pretty easy to deal with. Yeah, like I was saying, this boss is definitely not difficult. Seems a bit undertuned. I just had the empower bug. That's where you press the empower and it starts and then you finish it and then nothing happens and you have to do it again. It's been happening a lot. It's really getting on my nerves. But anyways, yeah, that's the boss. We didn't show the other one, but it's just like a stun circle you soak. Nothing too crazy there. Another fun boss. I actually enjoyed this boss too. Not as much as the first boss. It was, like, I mean, I'm a little biased, right? Like I enjoy the AoE, especially since Devastation can spec into a whole bunch of AoE basically for free. But I do like the aesthetic of this boss, and I like the concept. We'll have to see how this fight pans out on Mythic. But yeah, I don't know. So far, I'm really, really liking the new raid. Definitely a fan of how it looks. You'll see here in just a little bit, I'm going to fast forward. This next room, like we actually haven't gone to this room yet, but this is where like the third to last boss is. It's basically Firelands. And this area over here, like you can't see it. Well, you can kind of see it, but it's like this is a giant platform. And this is actually where you fight the third to last boss. There's a kill box here, though. We tried to go out here because I saw like this NPC and I was like, oh, I want to follow him out there. But yeah, as soon as you get out too far, you just die. You could probably get all the way out there if you use like something to fling you. But yeah, really a fan of this raid so far. Only seen 2 bosses. Looking forward to seeing more tomorrow. Definitely excited for that. But anyways, that is it for my first heroic testing. I'll be uploading all my testings here to my YouTube channel like always. So if you want to see my testings as Devastation, Mage, even potentially Augmentation, just, you know, whatever the groups need, then be sure to click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever my new videos come out. And if you like this video, as always, give it a thumbs up. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.